The marginal analysis as an application of the definite integration. Recall that the integration of the integrand f of x with respect to x from point A to point B equals the antiderivative at x evaluate from x equals A to x equals B, which is the same as the antiderivative at B minus the antiderivative at A. The relationship of the f of x and the capital F function is f of x is the derivative of the capital F, or we can say f of x or the uppercase function f is antiderivative of the lowercase function f of x, which is the integrand of the definite integration. In this case, if we use it in the application as the integrand here is the derivative form of the antiderivative, for the marginal analysis, we can use it as the integral of the marginal revenue from point A to point B is the difference of the revenue at B minus the revenue at A, which is the same as this one is the for the revenue. So marginal revenue, where the difference of the two revenues is the additional of the total revenue. And similar to the marginal cost, if we have the integral from point A to point B of the marginal cost or the C prime at x with respect to x is the same as the difference of the cost function at B minus the cost function at A. And this one means the additional cost. Additional cost if x changes from A to B. Also the same as the marginal profit. Or the definite integral from point A to point B of the derivative of the profit or the marginal profit is the additional profit or the profit at B minus the profit at A, which is the additional profit. As x changes from point A to point B, or x would be the item produced or the item sold. So the note, the integrand is the marginal quantity, and the right-hand side is the difference of the quantity as the x changing from A to B. Let's see examples. The example 2, the marginal revenue from the sale of X bottles of wine is given by the R prime equals 8.4 minus 0.3 square root X dollars per bottle. We're gonna find the increase in total revenue, which is the additional revenue. If the number of the bottles sold is increased from X equals 225, which is the A, to 400, which is the value B. So we are going to find the additional revenue, which is the revenue at 400 minus the revenue at 225. or find the definite integral from point A to point B of the marginal revenue with respect to X. And in this case, the A is 225, the B is 400. So from the lower limit 225 to the upper limit 400, the marginal revenue is given as 8.4 minus 0.3 times square root X with respect to X. What we have to do is to find the antiderivative of these two terms and evaluate at 400 minus evaluate at 225. So the next step, we are going to find the antiderivative of 8.4, which is the constant term, to get 8.4 multiplied by X. And the second term, this is a constant multiple. So I'm going to write this one as a constant multiple. And the square root X is X to the power 1/2, which is the power form or the power function. The R equals 1/2. Use the constant multiple rule to get 0.3 times the antiderivative of square root X or X to the power 1/2, which is X to the power 1/2 plus 1. The new power becomes 3/2. We use the 3/2 as the denominator of the antiderivative. And then we're gonna evaluate from X equals 225 to X equals 400. So the next step, we just simplify to make it into the less complicated form before we replace the number in. The first term, no change. So we're gonna have 8.4 times X, and the 0.3 and 3, it should be reduced to be 0.1 multiplied by, no, divided by 3/2 means multiply by 2/3. So let me put in more detail. So going to be 0.3 times 2/3 instead of dividing by 3/2 and multiply by X to the power 3/2. And we're going to compute from 225 to 400 and simplify this to be 0.1. And we get the simplified expression as 8.4 times X minus 0.2. And this is X times square root X, or you can leave it as X to the power 3/2, so it doesn't matter. So maybe leave it as the X to the power 3/2, might be less complicated. And evaluate from 225 to 400. First, we're gonna replace X with the 400. We have 8.4 multiplied by 400 minus 0.2 multiplied by 400 to the power 3/2, and then subtracted by another group of the quantity, which is 8.4 multiplied by 225 minus 0.2 times 225 to the power 3/2. So I'm gonna have a right in the bigger space. So subtracted by 8.4 times 225 minus 0.2 times 225 to the power 3/2. And then we're gonna get the number out. So I'm gonna enter the number in as the quantity 8.4 multiplied by 400 minus 0.2 multiplied by the quantity 400 to the power 3 divided by 2. So this group is for the upper limit, and then subtracted by the quantity 8.4 multiplied by 225 subtracted by 0.2 times the quantity 225 raised to the power 3 divided by 2, and then close the parentheses, enter, we get the number 545. So 545 as the difference or the increase in total revenue. The revenue at 400 minus the revenue at 225. And the unit is in dollars.